J. Cole dropped a joint. I don't know. Did y'all get a chance to hear that record by any chance? The interlude that he dropped?
Yep.
It's okay.
Yeah,
I like it. Nice little offering out the gate. A documentary that he dropped as well that I have not had a chance to see. It's called Applying Pressure, the off season. But there was a couple quotes that were pulled from that, and I still got to watch it because I've yet to hear somebody say they didn't like it. But this was in relation to him and features, which is something I was talking to my man Nate Jeezy about the other day, how he never really, does features, and is that a pro or a con as it relates to how his albums come out? Lone and I with Slot, we talked about it in the post show last week as well. But he says there's two things that I took from his comments. He says you want to look back and be like, you didn't want to work with nobody. You didn't have no songs with nobody, and you're not cool with that. No, okay, so let's start saying yes to some of these features. This is him in the documentary. And he also said it was like he was letting people know for this documentary, the off season, it's a boy and the fall off is coming. And all these are to say that he's getting ready to retire and that he's cool with it. He's at peace and he doesn't have any regrets. So it's kind of couple parts in there. One, his willingness to actually be able to do features now or want to start to say yes to those features. Like with him saying that he's cool with retiring and everything, I think I would be excited to hear him do more features. My question to y'all is, in terms of him saying he's comfortable with what he's done, do you guys think that's hurt his career? Do you think his career could have been enhanced had he done more features? Or, there are some people that are on the side that are just impressed that he rocked out by himself, produced the majority of the shit, rapped by himself, and, sold and did good numbers, put out good projects. Like, where do you guys sit with that, Lone? I'll come to you first, man. Like, do you think there was he left some food on the plate, or do you think everything went how it was supposed to go? And you're cool with it?
I think he controlled his own narrative, and I think he didn't want to have features, and he didn't. I think that's perfectly fine. And as far from a career standpoint, like, what more could you really ask for? As he's highly successful. He puts out the music he wants to do. He produces his own work. He does features when he feels like it. I mean, he may get a little bit of, he does catch the slack from not doing more features, but I perfectly think it's fine that he doesn't. I think we talked about this last week, but no, I don't think it's real. I personally don't think it's hurt him in the sense that, like, he's already reached a level of success. Mm-hmm. Like, anything that he's doing now is just stacking on top of it. So, I think he's already reached that point. Could he have more? Probably, but
do you think he would have been?
There can always be more, So
you sound like you think he would have been, just as successful, like, even if he did the features, like, it wouldn't have, blown him up even more than where he is now based off his level of success.
How much higher can J. Cole really get?
Right.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, he's he's not like Drake level, but at the same time, like, he probably doesn't want to be like that. Not to take anything away from Drake or, to use my own random thoughts on that whole weird situation I just created. But, like, I don't know, man. I feel like he's successful in what he's done. And, like, I don't personally feel the need to, like, overly critique, like, where he's at right now, because he's already reached a level of success that most people just will never reach. So
agreed.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad with that. Jump in, Jay Diff.
Man, I think it's one of those situations where each one of us are our own worst critic. So he's sitting back looking at his career and he's picking it apart himself versus us being fans or just casual listeners of his music and aren't necessarily thinking about features per se. I know I'm not. When I'm thinking about any artist, I'm really not thinking about who they jump on the record with. The only thing that the allure of, like, a Jay-Z and Nas record is because of their history and where they are in their life and how long, what I'm saying, they've been in the game. So, you welcome a Jay-Z Nas feature. Everybody's been wanting that J. Cole Kendrick feature, you know what I'm saying? But other than that, I'm really not too pressed to say he should have made features with other people. I think it's more for himself to maybe as a musical or a rhyme exercise, see how he holds his own against other rappers or artists, and just kind of personal um, trophies to hang on his mantle whenever he does decide to hang up his career. I think that's kind of more what it's about versus him trying to appease or please fans, so to speak.
Okay. Okay. I can dig it. Jump in there, Jay Moore.
I've always thought it's particularly smart business that he didn't have a lot of features, not only because you don't have to work out those splits with another artist, but when it's time to tour and when it's time to do your big hits, you don't need to have anybody else on stage, or you don't have to, just do one verse of a song that's supposed to be yours, and then you hit the bomb on the mixer or whatever that you have generating sounds for your tour, and then you get out of it. There's a lot of people that can't tour because I don't want to say they can't tour, but they have to do these amended versions of their songs because you have 3 singles, all 3 of your singles have features on them, and the people that you have features from are not touring with you. J. Cole doesn't really have that issue, other than I mean, he's got that one. He's got a song with Missy Elliott, doing the hook, and he's got a song with TLC doing the hook. But they don't have to be there to do the hooks. But when you
21
might have
Savage.
somebody,
Yeah.
but when you have people, if you have a 3-verse record and you got someone doing or if you got a 2-verse record and you have a feature, because that's what it is now. Everybody's doing these short ass songs, and you have a guest feature for your second verse, then you can only do half the song. I think, I mean, like, people always like to harken back to Nas, how AZ was the only feature on his on Illmatic. Really, he can if he wants to, he can perform Illmatic all by himself. You know what I'm saying?
And
Of
that
course, it
missed
would
a
be nice
beat
to
though.
have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
miss a beat.
and so I think that's what it used to be when you got a feature on a hip hop record, that was something really special. I remember when how excited I was as a hip hop fan when Ice Cube and Big Daddy Kane were on Public Enemy's Burn Hollywood Burn. Like, that was a big deal, because you just didn't have everybody didn't work with each other. A posse cut was something that was still very special. LL Cool J didn't have everybody on his records.
That's true.
Rakim, there wasn't all these collaborations between artists. So I mean, I remember it was a big
A lot of
deal
that
when
shit back then, like not to cut you off, but a lot of that shit back then too was record label shit. They weren't
that too,
allowed
but
Good point.
but
Good
even
point.
mess
Good
with each
point.
other like
even
that.
people on the same label. Like, I remember when LL Cool J was on EPMD's Rampage, but like, there was something going on to where he wasn't in the video. Like, it was a big deal to have collaborations. And now it's not a big deal. Like, everybody's on everybody's album. Everybody's friends, and, like, not saying I'm mad at people, being able to work together and get money together, but I could just come from an era where, if you had, like when Nice and Smooth hopped on Dwick with Gangstar, like, that was a moment in culture that meant a lot. When you would hear, maybe Q-Tip jump on something with De La Soul, or something like that. Like, once again, posse cuts don't mean what they mean to this generation.
I don't even know if it's gonna go back. I don't even know if it's gonna go back to that. From a posse cut standpoint, I used to get excited about that when I was younger. In terms of J. Cole, though, for me, I guess just the the selfish fan in me always is just, I guess I'll be left curious about what some of those features could have been. Don't think it's a necessity from a career enhancement standpoint. Like, to Lone's point, he gonna beat J. Cole regardless. It's just,
As a fan,
some of the ones that, it's just, as a fan, I'm looking at like, damn, if he'd have done the EP with Kendrick, or damn, if he'd have had, I don't know, whoever featured on a hook like BJ the Chicago Kid or Raheem Devon or something like that. Like, on joints that he was actually singing the hook on, like those types of combinations where I just get a little curious, like, damn, what would that have sounded like?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and again, that's just strictly from a fan standpoint.
Time, though,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, at the same time, I'm happy that he didn't pour himself out, so to speak. You have certain artists, they jump on any and everything. All you gotta do is send them payment and they jumping on your album. I don't know how many people's budget allowed them for Drake to have them on the opening song to jump off their career. The only artist that actually helped and didn't hinder is Lil Baby. He's the only artist that I can actually think of whose first single featured Drake, and he's still here ripping and running, doing his own thing. And now Drake has to call him for a feature, to be honest with you, at the end of the day.
Yeah. I think that's a good call, Terry, because it didn't bury him. Like, he still was able to, you know, just ride the wave on that and continue to advance his career. Sometimes you get features like that, man. And you know, I'm not gonna say this situation buried him, but we just talked about before we came on, we talked about Isaiah Rashad, you know, and Duke Deuce. It's like, I heard that record, I'm like, damn, Duke Deuce killed that. The production was set and it was in the pocket for him. Everything was set up for him to shine, and he shined way more than Isaiah Rashad did on that record. You know what I mean? Like, just came off dope. So
there's probably because
that's a good point about the Baby.
Hated to him, and then like we talked about how they set him up almost for that, to where you're expecting more, but then it's like, oh, Isaiah Rashad featuring Duke Deuce. So I mean, it's a good track, but it's just not what everybody was looking for. But in another essence of speaking on artists feature with each other, how many people talk about them 2 albums that Jay-Z and R. Kelly dropped?
I don't.
Well, there are a lot of reasons we don't talk about those albums.
Well, not even before that.
Even
shit
before that, though.
Even
I wasn't talking about them before that.
How many times were we like super excited, or was like, them R. Kelly and Jay-Z albums was just?
No, you're right.
I never was hype about those. Man, when I
don't think I've heard them.
You ain't missing too much.
See, I remember buying tickets. Remember when Jay-Z and R. Kelly was going on tour, and they ended up canceling the tour? I bought tickets to that.
Yeah, that it's like they did the joint with we was talking about his catalog post show. Linkin Park, was it Linkin Park?
Yeah.
Collab joint, like, all collabs ain't dope collabs. I will say that.
Exactly.
So to J. Cole's point,
I hated that because, first of all, you had all these dope people remix your album, and you go and do some shit. Like, I understand from a marketing standpoint what it is. It's like, oh, we can get that audience to mess with Jay-Z songs. But I'm like, I remember, what was it? I want to say Brown, the Brown album. That was one of my favorites from that era.
Mm-hmm.
All these people did remixes.
The Gray album
for the Black. The Black. All these people did remixes, and you went and got, like, if Jay-Z would have commissioned like the best of the Black album remixes, that would have been one of the most incredible projects ever. But then he goes and has Linkin Park, and I'm like, man, get this shit out of here.
Yeah, Danger Mouse, I believe, did the Gray
album. Yeah, I remember that call. That was controversial because, you know, the Beatles, they was like, get all this shit out the stores.
I need that bread.
And you know what? I didn't think the Gray album was that great. I really didn't.
It was
like
cool.
nice. Hey,
so we're going to be raffling off the Gray album.
There it is.
For our patrons.
The Gray album's awesome.
You have a collector's item. It's phenomenal. Yeah.
That's funny.
Thanks, Lone.
We're literally going to be raffling this off for next month for our patrons. So, if you've enjoyed this segment of the New Old Heads podcast, make sure to join our live show every Tuesday from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/newoldheads. And we invite you to join our hip hop community on Discord. Access it by going to newoldheads.com/community for talks on hip hop, sports, music, news, and everything else.